Let's go on a cruise.
It's time to set sail. Welcome to Wonder of the Sea.
All right. Hi, it's Jeff from Picture Time. Welcome back to the channel, and we are here with another cruise ship tour. It's been about time. Our last cruise was in December of 2019 on the MSC Mirabilia, and we're back on Royal Caribbean this time aboard the beautiful and recently released Wonder of the Seas. It is currently the largest cruise ship in the world. Just to give you a little bit of a perspective on how large this cruise ship is, and the Oasis class in general. The Titanic was about 55,000 tons. And most large cruise ships like the MSC Mirabilia that we were on, and other even like Freedom class cruise ships, a lot of the big Carnival boats, Norwegian boats, are somewhere generally between 130,000 and 175,000 tons. Very, very big ships. The Oasis class ships are the biggest class of cruise ships in the world, and the Wonder of the Seas is the biggest in that class, weighing in at just under 237,000 tons. It's pretty crazy when you pull into port next to other very large ships, and just the height and the width of this Oasis class Wonder of the Seas just pretty much dwarfs the other ships in the port, and it's a marvel when you see it up next to another very large boat. In fact, when you get out of the boat on port days and you are in between you and another ship and you look up, it's pretty incredible how these basically floating cities stay afloat and move about the ocean so effortlessly. It's pretty incredible. The Wonder of the Seas, 1,188 feet or 362 meters long, about 9 meter or 30-foot draft. It has 18 decks, 24 guest elevators. There's 2,867 staterooms. There's 3 big electrically powered pods that control the ship from the rear, capable, as I heard yesterday from the captain at sea trials, of 24.9 knots max speed in the water, close to 30 miles an hour. But then there are 4 bow thrusters that allow it to literally GPS lock in one place, but also pull into the port sideways. There are 8 neighborhoods on this ship, which keep passengers divided pretty evenly throughout the ship with plenty to do. So even though there's close to 7,000 passengers and 2,000 crew, unlike many of the other ships that we've been on that are not Oasis class, this one feels less busy even though there are more passengers on it. They do a great job of having a lot to do in a lot of different parts of the ship so that each location or neighborhood in the ship doesn't feel overly crowded. This ship is an absolute marvel. If you were with us before on the Oasis of the Seas tour back in 2017, that ship blew our mind. This one is in the same class. It's an Oasis class ship, but is currently, until the Icon comes out, the largest cruise ship in the world. And today we're here for a tour. So come along with us. So to start this tour, we're gonna start up on the 16th deck. And the reason why is they built this really awesome ship model up here on 16. And I think to start, I'll just give you a little bit of a lay of the land here from an aerial view over this ship model. And then we'll take a guided tour and walk from the top all the way down to the bottom and show you where everything is. Here is the model of the Wonder of the Seas. And unlike a lot of cruise ships, it's a double tower design. So there is a tower on the starboard side and a tower on the port side. And there's staterooms that face out to the ocean and then staterooms that face inside. And so like our room is down in the Boardwalk area on deck 8. And I'll show you that a little bit later. But to navigate the ship, there are 2 main elevator tower bays, one towards the forward part of the ship and one towards the rear of the ship. And so to navigate the ship, you'll take either the front or rear elevator bays. There's also stairways that go up and down all levels at those points. So I am currently towards the back of the ship on deck 16, looking at this ship model. Towards the back here at deck 17 and 18, these floors are reserved for suite guests. So there's suites up at the top, and then on decks 18 and 17, there's like a suite, patio, and lounge. There's also a specialty restaurant for suite guests in this area of the ship as well. Being I am not a suite guest, I'm not gonna take you up there, but the 17th and 18th decks towards the rear of the ship are for suite guests. So in the rear of the ship anyway, we'll start our tour on deck 16. Towards the front of the ship, up on deck 17, is the entrance to the Waterslides. And then this little deck here, which I can't get to because I'm not a teen, but this is a little hangout area for teens. I'll show you that in a little bit. One other thing to note, that on each deck, just outside the elevator areas, are these wayfinder monitors. They're touch screens, and they will help you navigate the ship. They'll tell you what is on each deck, as well as how to get to other decks. And then they also have other interesting information like your speed and heading and the current temperature. We're on our way to Port Canaveral on the last sailing day of our 7-night cruise. So I am up here on the 16th deck, and let's head towards the rear of the ship and we'll show you what's out there. So coming out of the elevator bay on the port side, or the left side of the ship as you're facing forward, I'm currently on deck 16. And coming towards the back of the ship, you have the sport courts. This is the sport zone. Lots of activities to do here in the back of the ship. So you start with the, it's like pickleball going on today, but there's basketball tournaments, dodgeball, a lot of things happening in here through the week. And you come all the way to the back and we have the Flowrider surf simulator. People can try their hand at boogie boarding and surfing back here. It's quite a fun experience to watch people try and do a little wipeout. Coming from the Flowrider surf simulator, we come to the center of the ship and we have the zip line. My wife and I tried this yesterday. It's quite fun. I don't know if there's any other zip lines at sea, but you strap in, safety is a big priority, and then they let you zoom over here. That's fun to try, and it's a free activity that's included with your cruise fare.
I did it. I didn't know how I was going to stop. They didn't mention that part.
Coming to the back, just down the steps by the Flowrider and the zip line, is the Wipeout Bar and the Ultimate Abyss. It's a dry slide that takes you here from the 16th deck all the way down to the 6th deck on the boardwalk. It's a dry slide. They give you these little pads to slide in. It's quite fun. It's a dark slide, and then there's music and lights inside of it. It's a good time, and it's a free activity included with your cruise fare. But back here is also a great place to stand during sailaways, or when you pull into port or leave a port. It's nice views out the back of the ship from pretty far up in the air and looking out to sea. Moving starboard here from the Ultimate Abyss is Playscape, Wonder Playscape area. Little sitting area for families and kids. Come up these stairs here. And we have a little play area for kids here. Some climbing things, little slides. And then the mini golf area. My wife and I tried that out. It's kind of fun to do some mini golf at sea. And this is towards the rear of the ship on deck 16. Also here too, you have a view and you can look down over the boardwalk. We'll get to the boardwalk in a little while here. That's on deck 6. Let's keep exploring deck 16. So moving forward on the starboard side on deck 16, there's this local fresh Mexican taco restaurant, and this is included with your cruise fare. Great place to come and have tacos or quesadillas. They have nachos up here. Those are tasty. And an alternative to like the main dining room or the Windjammer cafe if you wanted just some variety of food that's included with your cruise fare. Up here on deck 16, this is a great place to come. Moving forward on the starboard side on deck 16, we've got the arcade. Let's go check the arcade out. I guess if you're into playing video games while you're at sea, this is a place to come. We don't spend a lot of time in here. I guess we'd rather be outside, but this is fun, especially if you have like a rainy day at sea or something. That'd be a fun place to come. These games are not included with your cruise fare, but there's no cost to come in here. Moving back towards the elevator bay and the center of the ship on deck 16. Towards the port side, we have this Social 100. This is a hangout for 13 to 17-year-olds. I didn't go in there, but if you're 13 to 17, I'm sure it's fun. This is unique too. I haven't seen this on other ships, but we have this Unboxed area up here. And so if you forget something on your cruise and you need some shaving gel or a toothbrush or some toiletry items or whatever, you can come in here and they have these vending machines that allow you to purchase that stuff here, kind of like a drugstore at sea. Unboxed. Coming out again on the port side, deck 16, walking towards the front. We have tide and trail adventure gear. This is where you can get your snorkel gear during port days if you'd like. And then moving forward, we have kind of an upstairs sun deck. On deck 16, this area overlooks the pools. There's 2 sets of pools, one on each side of the superstructure. And there's kind of a rear set of pools. And then just under that sail, just in front of that, is another set of pools. We'll take a look at those. We've heard from other people on other cruise lines that often there's only 1 or 2 pools and places for people to hang out in the sun. And as a result, they're very, very crowded. Being there are a lot of hot tubs and multiple pools in different areas up here on these Oasis class ships. Now, they're busy, but there's plenty of place for people to spread out. And so you're likely to be able to find a chair and find a place to enjoy the pool, even though there are a lot of people on this ship. Moving forward is the lime and coconut bar, and then also a little stage here. Often they have like steel band or live music out here during the day. Moving forward from the lime and coconut bar, looking down to deck 15. There's a splash pad area, real fun area for families and for kids to hang out. Oh, look at this pretty lady. Hanging out on deck 16. Welcome. Moving forward on deck 16 on the port side, we have access to the patio, which is a hangout area for teens. That would be up on deck 17. And then obviously up there is the Waterslides, water park. You access the water park from deck 15. I'll show you that in a second. And moving even further forward here on the port side, or the left side of the ship as you're facing forward, is access to the rotunda, the front elevator area of the ship. And also a great place to look out up here. And then you can look down into the Solarium, which is in the front of the ship. We'll go there in just a second. Coming into the ship on the port side on deck 16, walking towards the center, we have the Hooked Seafood Restaurant. This is a restaurant that is an additional fare for seafood, as you can imagine. Specialty restaurant on the 16th deck overlooking the Solarium. We didn't eat here, but we heard great things about it. So if you want to come for seafood, lobster, whatever, this is a place to have a specialty meal. Costs an additional fee above and beyond your cruise fare. Coming out the rotunda doors here on deck 16 on the starboard side. Again, you have a glass area where you are overlooking the Solarium, and then more deck chairs and places to hang out here on deck 16 overlooking deck 15 or the pool area. From here, let's head down a floor to deck 15 and explore what's on this deck. Coming down a floor, I'm now on deck 15, which is the main pool deck of the Wonder of the Seas. I'm currently on the starboard side, or the right side of the ship facing forward, and I'm looking at the forward set of pools, as well as the exit for the Tornado water slide. Let's walk towards the middle of the ship here. In the middle of the ship here on deck 15 is an overlook where you can see down into Central Park. We'll get there in a minute. That is on deck 8. But up here on 15, here is the stairway where you can access the perfect storm water park, Waterslides. And so you access the Waterslides from the stairway here, just forward of the pools on deck 15. Also referred to as the pool deck. Let's move forward. I want to show you the Solarium. Before we get to the Solarium, in the center of the ship on deck 15 is the Solarium Bistro. This is a restaurant that is buffet style and is included with your cruise fare. They serve similar items to what is served in the main dining room, but it's more of a buffet style, but a little classier than like the Windjammer. My wife and I ate here one evening and it was lovely. It was great. Kind of nice food, but just a great ambiance and environment, and you can generally eat a little faster than the service in the main dining room. The Solarium Bistro, worth checking out, and it is included in your cruise fare. Leaving the area of the Solarium Bistro, past the elevators and the stairs, we come into the Solarium. This is an awesome place. It's a 16 and older area, so there's no kids in here. And it's enclosed by, I guess, glass or plexiglass. There's a hot tub up here that overlooks the ocean. And due to this area being covered like a greenhouse, there's no wind, and it's a really warm and generally fairly quiet place to come and hang out. This is on deck 15 in the very front of the ship. Coming all the way forward to the front of the Solarium, a little stairway to go down, and there's another sitting pool down here, hot tubs, and then these beautiful big glass windows to overlook the front of the ship. This is over the bridge. One little tip, there's these little glass areas where they're open and you can stand out there. Great place for viewing like sail away and stuff like that. They've had them closed for a good majority of our cruise just due to higher winds. Apparently it's quite windy out there, but on a port day we were able to go out there and it was really nice views from up here above the water. Moving backwards on deck 15 on the port side. Nice sitting area back here, just on the outside of where the water slides end. Coming back to the splash pads. And then on deck 15, coming to the center stack here between the two pool areas. Just in the front here, facing the lookout over Central Park, is Sprinkles. It's closed now, but come here to get some soft serve ice cream during the day. And a view of Central Park down on 8. Let's keep moving back on deck 15. Moving towards the back of the pools on deck 15, coming into the rear superstructure is the entrance to the elevators back here, but also the Windjammer Marketplace. Let's go check out the Windjammer. The Windjammer on deck 15, it's your main buffet style restaurant or dining area. All buffet style, open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And my wife and I enjoy coming up here for breakfast and even having lunch up here. All kinds of food choices here. Lots of wash stations as you enter the Windjammer. They're very conscious about keeping everybody clean and healthy and safe. Coming out of the Windjammer, right towards the back, there's a door to get back out here on the lower floor of the Playscape area for the kids. That this little ramp goes back up to like deck 15 and a half by the Abyss slide, and then looking into the Windjammer. But there's some kids games and activities and stuff back here, and also this is another nice quiet place to watch the sail away or something. Good view of the ocean from up here on deck 15, right towards the rear of the ship. From the Windjammer on deck 15, let's take these elevators or the stairs behind me and go down to deck 14 and check out and see what's on deck 14. Okay, just down a floor from the Windjammer towards the rear of the ship on deck 14 is the card room. Card room is a quiet place to come and read, play cards, of course. Deck 14 is primarily staterooms, aside from the card room towards the back. We're gonna move all the way forward and take a look at Adventure Ocean and also the lower floor entrance to the Solarium. Walking down that length of the ship on deck 14, you get a sense for just how long the ship is. Coming from the staterooms is entrance to Adventure Ocean. Adventure Ocean is really the place for kids, ideally for parents, to be able to drop off their kids. A variety of different age groups with activities for all different age groups of kids here. Kids will get a wristband and you can drop off your kids here towards the front of the ship on deck 14. This is over here. Area is closed at the moment, but there is kind of a puzzle area, game room, escape room. They did an activity with us the other day where it was like this royal puzzles. Not quite an escape room experience, but a variety of puzzles that you had to solve in a given amount of time, and it was a lot of fun. Let's move out of Adventure Ocean and back towards the front of the ship. All the way forward here on deck 14 is the front entrance to the Solarium on deck 14. Came out that door. There's also a restroom up here. So I'm back here in the front elevator area of deck 14, and there's no deck 13. I guess it's a superstitious thing, but we're gonna hit one thing on deck 12, which is towards the rear of the ship. So let's walk all the way back towards the rear of the ship to the rear elevator area and go down to deck 12, and we'll see what's there. Coming towards the back here on deck 12 is Wonderland. Wonderland is a specialty restaurant that's an additional fare. Really a fun dining experience. Apparently they have a bunch of experimental foods like edible foam and a lot of dry ice and fun presentations, where you can have a specialty meal here if you get tired of eating in the main dining room. Standing just in front of the Wonderland on deck 12, you can see the rear elevator area here and a chance to look down and just give you a sense for how tall this ship is. At this point of the tour, decks 9 through 12 are primarily staterooms. So we're gonna skip down to deck 8, which is where our stateroom is and where Central Park is. So from deck 12 here, just in front of Wonderland, let's go down to deck 8. Due to the double superstructure design of the Wonder of the Seas, there are a lot of staterooms that have ocean view balconies, but then there are also interior balcony staterooms like ours. And here's Anna, our amazing stateroom attendant.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome to our home away from home.
The staterooms are small, but very adequate. There's a bed that's a king bed, but it's actually 2 twins pushed together, and so you can configure the room for 2 twins or for a king as we have it configured. There's a closet on each side of the bed with adequate storage for your clothes for the week, and a small bathroom with a shower and sink area. TV was quite large in the room this time, plenty adequate if you're into watching TV. There's also a couch, sitting area, another dresser, and a little computer desk with an area with a lit mirror. Ours overlooks the boardwalk just above Johnny Rockets, and looking towards the back of the ship, we can see the AquaTheater and the lower part of the abyss slide where people come out of the abyss. From here, we'll leave our stateroom and continue exploring deck 8. Let's go check it out. Coming out from our stateroom, just behind the rear elevators on deck 8, is Music Hall. This is a 2-floor music venue. There's live music in here. They had a Beatles cover band this week that was incredible. Leaving the music hall and walking forward is the entrance to Central Park. Central Park is home to Chops Grill, a specialty restaurant. The Rising Tide Bar, which goes from here on deck 8 down to deck 5 on the Royal Promenade deck. Also a specialty restaurant, the 150 Central Park, the Trellis Bar, Park Cafe, which is included in your cruise fare. It's a little cafe deli type restaurant venue. Also Giovanni's Table, the Italian eatery and wine bar, the specialty restaurant. And They also have some Royal Caribbean shops here in Central Park. Central Park is home to thousands of living plants, and they actually have full-time gardeners that care for this area. It's quite lovely. And they have bird sounds piped into Central Park. And in the evening here, there's live music, classical guitar or jazz, just a really beautiful venue, kind of a quiet area. It's not quite a party scene in here. It's really a nice place to come and hang out in the evening. Coming down a floor from deck 8, just in front of Central Park, deck 7 is all staterooms. Let's go down to deck 6 and show you what's on deck 6. Down here on deck 6 at the front of the ship is the entrance to the Vitality at Sea Spa and Fitness Center. A lot of the things here in this spa and fitness center are included, obviously all the exercise equipment. There's also an entrance down into the running track down on deck 5. Lots of weight equipment, free weights, there's yoga, and also throughout the week a number of classes and activities that you can pay to be a part of. There's also obviously a spa where there are a lot of services that are an additional fee. You can get a massage, you can get your nails done, you can get a variety of things done here in the Vitality at Sea Spa and Fitness Center at the front of the ship, spanning decks 5 and 6 here at the front of the ship. So coming out of the deck 6 front Vitality at Sea Spa, we're overlooking the Royal Promenade. Now there's a lot of things on deck 6, but you can access them through the rear of the Royal Promenade. So I'm going to take us down to deck 5 and explain what's on both decks 5 and 6 in the middle of the ship. We'll go back up to deck 6 as we get towards the rear of the ship, but deck 5 here, the Royal Promenade area that's spanning decks 5 and 6 through the center of the ship, is really the heart of the ship. When you get on the ship in port, you board onto deck 5 and you come into the Royal Promenade. But towards the front here, there's the Spotlight Karaoke bar. We spent a fair amount of time in here, some talented and not so talented singers. I don't want clever conversations. Obviously the Starbucks area here, and then the Boleros bar. A lot of live music in the bar there with salsa dancing and a variety of activities in Boleros. Moving towards the rear from Boleros and the Spotlight Karaoke bar, this is kind of like the central mall of the ship, lots of shops. If you like shopping at sea, this is where you come. Royal Caribbean shops, there's watch shops, jewelry shops, and they offer specials throughout the cruise week. You can get discounts and so on. Let's keep moving further back. Moving further back is Sorrento's Pizza on the starboard side, or the right side of the ship as you're facing forward. This is open pretty much all the time. Fresh pizza, it's really, really good. Royal Caribbean has really perfected their pizza recipe, and you can put on a lot of weight hanging out here at Sorrento's. There's also the Cask and Clipper Irish pub. And then moving further back is the NextCruise office, and then the Cafe Promenade, which is included with your cruise fare, as is Sorrento's Pizza. This Royal Promenade is kind of like a deli on this level. A good place to come down and get some water or coffee or tea, or a lot of times they have fresh baked cookies and snacks in here that you can get. Also, moving a little further back is the lower stop of the Rising Tide bar. As we showed you up on deck 8, this bar moves and goes from deck 5 up to deck 8 to take you on a slow journey to Central Park. Looking from here on deck 5 up to deck 6, you can access, picture this as a photo studio area, also a place where you can view and purchase the photos that they've taken of you throughout the cruise, and also the Schooner bar, another bar on the ship. A lot of live music happens in here. And just below the Schooner bar on deck 5 here is guest services. If you have a question about your bill, or you have any sort of need from Royal Caribbean throughout your cruise, you come here on deck 5 in the Royal Promenade to guest services to talk to them, and they'll get you what you need. And moving all the way back on deck 5, we are going to go back up to deck 6 to show you what's up at the rear of the ship on deck 6. But from decks 5, 4, and 3, in the rear of the ship, it's the entrance to the main dining rooms. The main dining room spans 3 decks, and decks 3, 4, and 5 towards the rear of the ship. And depending on what you do when you book your cruise, whether you have anytime dining or my time dining, you'll get assigned a table and a time in the main dining room. And you have the choice to stay at that reservation each evening or to make adjustments with the concierge and book different, maybe a specialty restaurant or a Solarium Bistro one night. But the main dining rooms here span decks 3, 4, and 5 right at the back of the ship. But for now, let's go back up to deck 6 and look at what's in the rear of the ship on deck 6. From decks 5 to get back up to deck 6, you can take this grand stairway right from the Royal Promenade, or you can move to the back there. There's the elevators and the stairways that will take you to any of the floors just behind me here. Let's go up to deck 6. Coming up the stairways towards the back of the Royal Promenade, just on the starboard side here is the Shore Excursions office. The Royal Caribbean app on your phone is free to use. You don't need to have the Wi-Fi package to use the Royal Caribbean app. Frankly, the interface here at Shore Excursions is basically about the same as the app. You can book your Shore Excursions either on the app or here at the Shore Excursions office. And now walking back from the Royal Promenade area on decks 5 and 6 towards the rear of the ship on deck 6 is the Boardwalk. The Boardwalk is exclusive to Oasis class ships on Royal Caribbean, and it's like a carnival at sea. Coming out the rear doors just behind the elevators in the Boardwalk is the doghouse. It's included with your cruise fare. Hot dogs, bratwurst, fun to come down and get a little sausage down here at the hot dog stand. The Carousel, and then also here on the starboard side, Sugar Beach, which is like a candy store. You can purchase candy and sweets at Sugar Beach. And then also Playmakers, a sports bar and arcade that is a specialty restaurant, not included in your cruise fare. But if you like pub fare, you can get it here at Playmakers. This place was hopping. We happened to be here on Super Bowl Sunday, and all these screens were filled with the Super Bowl. This was a hopping place on Super Bowl Sunday. Moving aft from the Carousel on the Boardwalk, here's the kids shop, a little kids shopping area, and Johnny Rockets. Again, this is a pay extra or specialty restaurant here on Wonder of the Seas. You can have breakfast, lunch, and dinner here, and it's a fun 50s diner across from Playmakers. And moving towards the rear of the Boardwalk is the exit to the Ultimate Abyss slide and the AquaTheater. All the way at the back of deck 6 here on the Boardwalk level is the AquaTheater. Live music happens out here, and also the AquaTheater shows, which in my opinion are just incredible. Combining like Cirque du Soleil level acrobatics and performance with music and effects and tight ropes and all kinds of things. Really amazing level of show quality here at sea. Also back here is the access to the rock climbing walls. Take a little stairway up. The rock climbing is included with your cruise fare. You just need to have a good pair of socks and then no wet clothing on the rock wall. So I'm way back here, kind of behind the AquaTheater, at the far back of the ship on the starboard side on deck 6, and there's a little stairway here to take you down to 5. We showed you deck 5 at the heart of the ship in the Royal Promenade, but out at the edge of the ship on deck 5 is the running and walking track. The running and walking track on the Wonder of the Seas or any Oasis class ship is incredible. 2.4 laps is 1 mile. This track goes all the way around the exterior of the ship on deck 5. It's nice to have a nice place to run without having to navigate lots of people in deck chairs. This is the track level on deck 5. Coming off the track on deck 5, towards the rear of the ship, looking forward, you can see there is the Royal Promenade. We're gonna go down to deck 4 from here and check out the venues available on deck 4. Towards the rear of the ship, the deck 4 entrance to the main dining room. And then as you move forward, you have the Izumi Hibachi and Sushi specialty restaurant on the port side. And then as you move forward, you have Casino Royale, the large casino at sea, if that's what you're into. As you come out of the Casino Royale, you come into a kind of central entertainment area that houses the attic live comedy each evening. The Diamond Lounge, which is a specialty area for Diamond, Crown and Anchor Society guests, and also the Golden Room, which is a high roller area for the casino. But then also Studio B, which is another entertainment venue, large entertainment venue. Ice rink, there's ice shows in here. There's also like laser tag. They do have ice skating that you can do on certain days of the cruise. And they also host events like a game show and a variety of other things that you would do in a theater. Studio B is a great place, but for what it's worth, the ice shows are pretty spectacular. The level and quality of the talent is pretty amazing. To come down to Studio B, and be sure if you're on an Oasis class ship to catch one of the ice shows in Studio B. And then moving all the way forward is the main entrance to the Royal Theater. The Royal Theater is a 1,200 seat, very technically advanced theater venue for a variety of different shows throughout the week. Just an amazing level of quality. Unlike any cruise we've been on before, the level of talent in the singing and the dancing and the lighting and the effects at these shows has been spectacular on Wonder of the Seas. Really need to make sure that you catch a show or 2 or 3 in the Royal Theater. The Royal Theater does span both decks 4 and 5 at the front of the ship. From deck 4, front of the ship, right by Royal Theater. Let's go down to deck 3 and finish off this tour. Down here on deck 3, coming down from the front elevators, is an entrance to the conference center. This conference center venue, I believe, can be rented or reserved. And the only other thing to show you on deck 3 would be the entrance to the main dining room at the rear of the ship. The only other thing to say about what's on decks 3 and 2 would be where you get on and off the ship on port days. Typically you get on and off on deck 2 and then take an escalator up to deck 3 to get back on the ship. On level 2 is the ship's medical center. Not much to see down there. At this point, this pretty much concludes our tour here down on deck 3. Let's head back up to our stateroom on deck 8 to finish this thing off. Well, as always, thank you so much for joining us. Believe it or not, we got this cruise because we had some cruise credits left over for a cruise that was canceled during COVID. And we're actually taking the kids on another cruise in a couple of weeks on board the Odyssey of the Seas. So if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe and follow us along, and we'll be doing a tour of the Odyssey of the Seas coming up very soon. But thanks again, as always, for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the tour. And if you get a chance to get on a cruise ship, or maybe if you haven't cruised before, I would say that cruising on an Oasis class ship with the Royal Caribbean, it'd be a great first cruise. These large boats have almost no sensation of motion. We felt just a little bit of motion yesterday as we turned towards the north and we're hitting some pretty rough seas, about 15-foot seas. But the ship lists less than 1 degree, and it's pretty amazing just how smooth and comfortable. I feel like my wife would have a tendency to get motion sick in cars and stuff like that, and she doesn't get sick at all on these big Oasis class ships from Royal Caribbean. So highly recommend it. A big shout out to Ryan Holland from Vacations to Go. He's the guy that we end up booking a lot of our cruises with. I have, as I've said in the past, I'm not a travel agent. I'm just a guy who likes to cruise with my wife. And so I don't get anything from this, from Royal Caribbean or any travel agency, aside from you guys who watch and like and subscribe, and the ad revenue that comes from YouTube. So thanks for watching, following along, and we will see you again soon. Have a great day.